One thing I think just about all of us can agree upon, that is that aging kinda sucks, which means it's kinda like this movie. So The Rule of Jenny Penn, this movie was in theaters a couple of weeks ago. I did not get a chance to check it out. I was actually really looking forward to this movie. It stars Geoffrey Rush, John Lithgow. I'm a fan of both of them, two titans of the movie industry. And what this movie's about is it follows Geoffrey Rush's character. He's kind of this stubborn judge who has just had a stroke, gets admitted into this elderly care facility. And when he's in that facility, he's going to meet John Lithgow's character, this crazy like New Zealander with snaggleteeth who's tormenting the other guests. Basically, think of it like this. You have an elderly care facility that has a living psychopath walking amongst them. He has this hand puppet. He makes the guests play this game called The Rule of Jenny Penn, where you submit to his hand puppet. And if you choose not to participate in the game and give in to Jenny Penn, he does sinister things to you, even harming the other guests. I was actually really looking forward to this movie because on the surface, I feel like this movie has so much to explore, and we don't really get a lot of like elderly horror movies. Like thinking about the concept of a psychopath who knows how to blend his mannerisms enough with just natural deterioration you would find at these facilities. I find that kind of fascinating, and it would be impossible to pick out. You have these guests who are like yelling, losing their minds, they have dementia, they are just at the end of life. And you have this guy who's kind of acting the same, but it's not because of his mental health. He is just a terrible person. Also, to my recollection, I can't really recall another movie that was just blatantly open about having a very old aged psychopath, so fairly unique in that regard as well. And I also really like the concept of possibly exploring deeper themes through the lens of somebody who just had a stroke, because he's not really all there mentally anymore. So you could offer a bunch of scary or tense scenarios through the lens of somebody who is just naturally deteriorating. I think that's a really cool medium for a horror movie. Is it actualized to the fullest of its potential in this movie? No, but we'll get into that. And finally, I think it's kind of interesting to explore the concept of this other crazy guy just walking around this facility, kind of acting like his own personal Grim Reaper because he has autonomy over these other agents people who can't do anything. That's a very terrifying thing. I think a lot of us think about bullying when we're kids and the idea of having to get over somebody who's being mean. We don't really think about it through the lens of when we're very old, we're at our most vulnerable towards the end of life, that we could have bullies there too. So that whole concept to me is just very unsettling. It's uncomfortable to think about that my loved ones could be put in a facility like this, and there's a possibility nobody will do anything for them because it feels like they're just acting out and speaking gibberish about another guest who's actually not doing anything wrong. But the two leads in this film, Geoffrey Rush and John Lithgow, they're absolutely fantastic in this film. They carry it. They make this movie a lot better than it would be otherwise. They basically add all of the drama and tension to this movie. Geoffrey Rush is so good at playing this like stubborn, obnoxious ass judge who will just not put up with John Lithgow's character. John Lithgow's character has just gotten comfortable with living in this facility and terrorizing all of these other old elderly citizens who just kind of submit to his will. But Geoffrey Rush adds a wrinkle to this because he doesn't put up with anything from anyone. He's like the most stubborn guy ever, so he will not submit at all. The two leads in this consistently bumping heads over power. They're both battling for who actually has control over themselves in this facility. But John Lithgow is on a whole nother level here. This is actually the only reason I would possibly recommend you check this film out. If you like John Lithgow when he plays creepy roles, you'll probably know him as Trinity from Dexter. I know him from Harry and the Hendersons. We are not the same. But in all seriousness, if you love John Lithgow in that type of role, he's fantastic here. I recommend this movie just off of the basis you get to see this guy. He's like almost unrecognizable. He has snaggle teeth, this crazy New Zealand accent, kind of hamming it up, but I think he is the most interesting part of this movie by far. Every scene he's on, he's all you notice. And he makes you feel very uncomfortable with his little hand puppet as he's terrorizing these helpless old citizens. It's just not an easy watch, and that's a credit to how good he is at playing a creep. I love the dude. But now for a couple of issues I have with this film. This movie, like a lot of modern horror movies, requires massive suspension of disbelief. You have this guy going around this facility just terrorizing people, and there's just seemingly nobody ever monitoring anything. There's no cameras on hand. There's nobody listening to the complaints, which again, I guess is what they're trying to represent with this film, because it's almost like you get to the point you have no autonomy as an elder citizen. But it's just so unbelievable to me that like numerous people have waged complaints against this guy. There is physical repercussion to what he's doing. And just nobody seems to care at all about the fact that John Lithgow's character is walking around this facility doing whatever he wants at all hours of the night. So that's something stupid you probably have to get over. Another thing being, this is just not a very enjoyable watch. As I already said, I mentioned some of the positives, some of the tension, and some of the like headbutting these characters go through, but it's kind of just a miserable watch. You're watching the judge who is just clearly deteriorated, and you're watching John Lithgow terrorize innocent people, which again, I think is kind of the point of this film, to make you feel as helpless helpless as you could eventually feel one day, that's where the terror is elicited. But it's just never a comfortable watch for me to watch people who are innocent, who cannot fight back, be subjected to terror. It's just like, why do I have to watch this? Also an incredibly slow film in my opinion. It's a little over an hour and a half. It feels like 2 hours easily, at least to me. And I also don't really think this story warrants its existence past when you first get to the facility. When you get there, you're meeting these characters, there's a bunch of tension in the air. It is interesting, but the longer it goes, it doesn't really feel like it fills in too much. It just kind of keeps going, as I've already described, up to a very abrupt ending that I did not really find satisfying at all. So the way it plays out in actuality is you show up to the facility, you're intrigued, you watch this guy torment old people for about 2 hours. Then the movie abruptly ends and you're just kind of left saying, why did I have to watch that? What was the point of all of this? Well, I get what they were going for. I just wish it would have leaned more fully into a horror film and maybe became a thriller more so than trying to do commentary, be a psychological movie. Overall, guys, I know my intro was a little bit harsh. I didn't absolutely loathe this movie or anything. I thought it was okay for a one-time watch. The real reason to come and watch this film is if you love those two leads, you want to watch them battle it out in a cat and mouse thriller. Geoffrey Rush, John Lithgow, they're both fantastic in this movie. But everything else I think takes a backseat to their performance. This is a movie that could have been so unique, kind of a cult classic. I feel like it's kind of going to be forgotten, especially by me. But if you are looking for a movie that's a little bit different, explores elderly themes and the possibility of like bullying, manipulation and stuff amongst an older psychopath, maybe check this one out when it comes to streaming. So if you guys got around to seeing this one, comment down below, let me know what you thought, or just comment your favorite John Lithgow project, because the guy can't miss. He's great in everything. As always, if you haven't subscribed, join me down below. Love talking movies with you. I will see you in the next review. Peace.